Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to Late Night Moto. I am your host, Tommy, and welcome to Thomas Motor Co. So today we're going to be covering three main topics. We're going to be talking about the next steps Thomas Motor Co. is going to go for um, with our bikes, getting them up and running. I'm going to be covering the Buell announcement of their new touring motorcycle and their new um, dirt bike, they're calling it. So we'll take a look at those. And then we'll finish up looking at the new Tiger 1200 range that Triumph has announced and looking at their announcement video. So, without any further ado, let's get started. So, here we go. So, we've got the front engine mount we're going to be ordering for the Dinosaur. So, as some of you guys may know from our previous live streams, and I put up a Google short on it, the Dinosaur, which is my 2004 Harley Dyna Super Glide, it has over 120,000 miles on it, and it has developed the Dyna Speed Wobble. So, I wanted to solve that problem before it got any worse, before it put me in any more danger. And so I was looking at our options and we settled on two things. One is the front engine mount. We're going to replace the stock front engine mount with the, as you can see here, the Vibratechnics, the Predator Harley front engine mount. So this is a combination engine mount and stabilizer. So it has the Heim joints with a little link, and that will help lock in the front motor position and stop the dyno wobble. That's really the biggest problem with the dynos. So you can see here, not the best picture, but let's look at this. So you can see right here we have the Heim joint that attaches the motor to the chassis and stops it from moving side to side, and that in turn prevents the dyno wobble. The other thing we're going to be doing is getting a true track. I need to check in with these guys and make sure I can order just the rear mount. But if we look here, we'll go down to, let's try and find the Dyna. This is a very up-to-date website. Oh, wait. So I think I'm gonna get the true track 20-30M, but only the rear part. So you can see here, this is, I believe, the front mount, but I don't need that because I'm going with the Vibratechnics. The reason I chose that over their front mount with a stock Harley part is I need to replace the stock Harley part anyway, and this part here can get in the way of some front spoilers and other stuff. So if I want to add anything like that in the future, that might get in the way. So it seems like the Vibratechnics is just going to be an easier way to go in the front, but I really like their rear engine bracket. Everything bolts in, so you can see their bolt holes here, their bolt holes here. It's not clamping on the frame, it's not doing anything silly like that, which I'm not a big fan of. Those bolts could work loose, they could, wear the paint on the frame or powder coating and then slip. This just seems like a much more precise solution. So that's going to be what I hope to get for the rear, but I'd like to just buy the rear section. So I'm going to be contacting them this week and getting that ordered. So both of these should be ordered by Friday. Hopefully we'll have them in about a week and we can start doing the work to get that bike back on the road, get it back to a safe condition. Now, with that said, let's take a look at this new Buell announcement. So this is the Super Touring 1190 they've announced, and the Baja DR dirt bike to bow at Daytona Bike Week. So this is from Visor Down, I found this. It says Buell will unveil two brand new motorcycles at Daytona Bike Week 2022 on the 5th of March. The Buell Super Touring 1900, I think they mean 1190, but I'm not sure, and the Buell Baja DR dirt bike. So we can see right here We have the what looks like the touring bike. Looks very futuristic. It's pretty clearly a render. The cat seems to be getting into something. Give me 1 second here, folks. Sorry about that. Hey. Sorry about that, folks. The cat has decided to invade a cardboard box and is making a bunch of noise. But cats will be cats. So, here we go. So this looks like the new touring bike, or a render of it. It looks quite modern. It's hard to tell. It's a render, so we see some distinctive Buell things, like the, I think it's the ZTO brake, the inside-out brake, single brake on the front. Some, more off-road ready tires, and the distinct, it looks like a Buell, so that's pretty cool. Now the next thing is the they say the American motorcycle firm Buell has announced it will launch the first all-new models of its latest revival at Daytona Bike Week 2022 with the unveiling of the Buell. We've read that like the third time now. Great. It's a little bit of history about that. They've done the 1190 RX sports bike, now known as the Hammerhead. Topping the bill is the production version of the Super Touring 1190, a model Buell previewed in renderings upon the announcement of its resurrection 12 months ago. Billed as the world's fastest touring bike, the Super Touring 1900 is setting its sights on the BMW R1250 and the new Honda NT 1100, not to mention the adventure come touring, I'm very concerned, Harley Davidson Pan America. Equipped with Buell's venerable 1190V twin engine, yet not the 1900. The Super Touring 1900. Now we're back to the. Is it really called the Super Touring 1900? Okay, I think we're gonna have to actually look, because this is very confusing to me now. Okay. Let's go to the Buell website, because I am now very confused. And other things on that site make me not super confident in their ability to edit and... Okay, so it's called the 1190. Enjoy the 185 horsepower 1190 Super Touring, combining Buell performance, touring adventure, and a bold design. Created in collaboration with famous designer Jay Reuter. Full model release planned for 2023. Okay, it's not the 1900. Please stop calling it that. The 1190 produces a substantial 185 horsepower and 101 foot-pounds of torque, while the design, provided it stays true to the render, is likely to turn heads with its quirky angular utilitarian profile. Something tells me some of that is going to change before this actually is released. But yes, let's see. Corey Thomas says the camera is off. The camera should be back on now. If it's not, please let me know. Okay. Now... so promising a range of aftermarket touring accessories and a starting price at $22,000, Buell will begin to take reservations for just $25 upon its unveiling. So that's a really competitive price, especially compared to the Harley. And you're getting a little more performance there, right? So I think the Harley's right around 150 horsepower. This is claiming 35 additional horsepower. Of course, it all depends on... is the whole package going to be good? Is the weight going to be good? So we'll see. Now, they say they've taken the Buell DNA customers know and love and applied to the performance touring segment. Um, and that it's going to lead in speed and handling. Great. Um, so they're saying they're on target for production despite all the supply chain stuff. And now we get to the Baja DR. Set to go on sale in 2023, the Baja DR features a 175 horsepower 72 degree V-twin with 101 foot-pounds of torque. Trellis frame, adjustable swing arm for a 66 to 70 inch wheelbase, and industry standard 37 inch seat height with 26.75 degree rake. So let's go look at that quickly. But my guess is that a lot of people are going to say this is not a dirt bike. And the reason I say that is the weight. So they're claiming a weight 355 pounds wet with no fuel. And it's an 1190. That is huge in dirt bike terms, right? So let's look at what a 450 dirt bike is, like, weight-wise, right? So this Kawasaki KX 450, that's a big dirt bike, right? So let's take a look. And okay. I'm gonna go over. Well, I was gonna look. Gallery. Where are the tech specs? Give us the tech specs. Aha, view specs and details right there. Okay. Performance, no details. Here we go. Curb weight, 200 and what is the curb weight includes all necessary materials. Okay, so this is the wet weight, 242.9 pounds. Now, this obviously has way more power, way more displacement, and maybe there's some application. I'm not sure. I'm not much of an off-road dirt bike guy, but I know that people are going to say this thing weighs 100 pounds more than other dirt bikes, right? 355 versus 249. Yeah, it's 100 pounds. And that's not really a dirt bike at some level, right? That's like more in scrambler territory. But you can see it does look very dirt bike like. It's got the, all the bodywork looks very much like a dirt bike. It's got an air filter sticking out there. That seems like it could be a problem if you came off, which I think you're wont to do off-roading. But it's an interesting design, right? And it's interesting to see they have changed some things compared to other Buells, right? So they're using a small disc brake, single disc in the front, not the big ZTL brake. They've got a chain drive, and it's definitely got things that make it look like a dirt bike. So that is really interesting. Let's go back here. Okay. So it's the same engine. It's tuned a little more conservatively now, maybe 175 horsepower. And they say this is a pivotal moment for American motorcycles and really puts Buell on the map. We are on track to build the world's fastest and solely American-built production off-road bike. Less than 1% of the world is covered with pavement. The Buell Baja DR is designed to dominate the other 99.7%. I'm not sure I want them driving it through my yard and onto my house, but okay. It will give riders the freedom to go anywhere in the world faster and with more power, harnessing our 1190 engine. So they're really taking advantage of that power plant that was ahead of its time, right? That's very similar to the 1125 that was used all the way back in, I think it was 2009 on the Buell. The Buells when Harley owned them before they became EBR and went to the 1190. So that's really interesting. Good stuff there. Now let's go over and take a look at the new Tiger 1200 range that Triumph has revealed. Let's go full screen here. Let me check the audio is going to come through, and here we go. is there audio?
Cycle launch from Triumph.
Okay, there's audio there. That's good. Okay, here we go.
Hello and welcome to a really significant motorcycle launch from Triumph with an all-new generation of the Tiger 1200. And as you can see, there are cast wheel and wire wheel Tiger models to choose from, and for the very first time, two 30-litre tank options. Today, we're going to learn all about how the new T-Plane triple engine is going to shake up the adventure world with a much more exciting character and power. We're also going to hear why Triumph are saying that this is the most agile and manoeuvrable large adventure motorcycle you can buy, including all about its absolute transformation in weight. And finally, best of all, we'll hear from some very well-known and respected adventure riders who've actually ridden the prototypes. So let's get straight to it. Steve, tell us what the plan was for the new family.
Yeah, hi, Matt. So what you're seeing here is the result of one of the most ambitious projects in Triumph's history, where absolutely nothing was off the table in regard to the scope and the scale of change. We started by getting under the skin of what adventure bike riding is all about, and also what adventure bike riders really value. Now, some of these things already existed in our previous generation, such as the shaft drive, which riders have told us is a really important practical feature. In addition, the great long-distance comfort and the triple engine really suits touring perfectly. Now, this gave us the things that we needed to maintain. Now, the fun really started, however, when we came to what we wanted to change.
OK, so exactly what have you done then?
The first thing was to make this new generation significantly lighter, and we've carved off more than 25 kilos off the weight of the bike. That's about the same weight as a fully loaded set of panniers. The weight reduction really transforms how the new bike feels to ride and move around, which for me makes this new Tiger the most agile, large-capacity adventure motorcycle that you can buy. And
am I right in thinking this is a completely new engine, Steve?
So we should, after this, go and compare the specs with the Pan America. And we should also, I guess, look at the BMW and check to see how competitive their weight is right now.
Yep, and this brings a real step up in power. And better still, it's how responsive and exciting this engine feels. Now, with the new engine, we wanted riders to have all of the advantages that made our Tiger 900 so successful, where the T-Plane crank gives the low-down tractability of a twin at the bottom end.
A T-Plane crank sounds like it's just a single plane crank, or it's some odd firing order. So I wonder if that's really a feature or not.
Making it great off-road, but also we've got the performance benefits of a triple at the top end, which makes this so good on the road.
Can you walk us through the lineup then?
Of course. Now, the first thing to share is that we have all new names to reflect the new capability, and that each model is now more focused to suit the adventures that different riders want. First, with the GT and the higher spec GT Pro, these have got cast wheels. Now, we've got 19-inch on the front, and we've got an 18-inch on the rear. Now, both of those bikes have got all-new Showa semi-active suspension, which has been set up for the road. Now, this makes the Tiger up to 17 kilos lighter than the closest shaft drive
So I think that is probably the same suspension system that's on the Harley Pan America, if I remember correctly.
Competition based on a comparable specification of motorcycle. Now, next, with the all-new Rally Pro, we have for the first time a dedicated 21-inch front and an 18-inch rear tubeless wire-spoke wheels. Now again, this bike has got Showa semi-active suspension, but on this bike it's got even longer travel. These give a real advantage over the competition off-road, as well as still being excellent on the road. Now finally, for the first time, we've got two new 30-litre tank models with the GT Explorer and the Rally Explorer. Both of those bikes feature the new Triumph blind spot radar system. Now, simply put, these are bikes built to travel the world. And with the GT Explorer, this introduces the only cast-wheel 30-litre tank adventure bike in the class.
Thanks, Steve. OK, now we're going to hear from someone who probably knows more about riding off-road than anyone on the planet. None other than the greatest motocross rider of all time, with 15 World Championships and one of Triumph's new off-road ambassadors, Ricky Carmichael.
Well, thank you, Matt. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you. Now, Ricky, I hear that you've actually ridden this prototype as part of its development. What did you think?
If you didn't know that it was a 1200 because of the horsepower, you would have thought it was a 900. That's how light this motorcycle feels. Felt so nimble. Like when I would stop and turn around on a gravel road, just really slide the bike, turn it and go. I'm able to do that now on a 1200. They have done such a great job with weight and balance and positioning and where you're sitting at. You're able to hold an inside or a tighter line a lot easier on the 1200 as opposed to the old model, just because of the weight saver and how good that the suspension is handling. It's the class of the field. I really believe that. Comparing it to a twin, this bike it's in a league of its own.
Yeah, such an exciting time, isn't it?
A little bit of a dig there at the Harley and Buell, I guess.
For Triumph fans, thank you so much, Ricky, for joining us today.
Thank you, Matt. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
OK, let's hear more about that new engine now with Stu. Hello, Stu.
Hi, Matt. The new 1160cc triple delivers 150 PS, which is 9 PS up on the previous generation, making it the most powerful shaft-drive motorcycle in the class. We also have 130 newton-meters of torque, which is significantly higher than the previous generation. But what's really important is how that power and torque is delivered. Now, this comes from the all-new engine, the new tune and the T-plane triple crank, where its uneven firing interval gives us excellent character, feel and tractability at the bottom end, and combines this with the really strong triple power and torque delivery all the way through the rev range.
That is a very weird crank then, because it's got two of the fire. It fires twice close together, then it's larger. I don't know what the third one is, but maybe it's not even a flat plane crank. That would be interesting to see.
Giving you the best of all worlds. The way the engine feels is a big step forward. It's much more responsive and exciting and just glorious to listen to. Overall, every single component has been designed to be significantly lighter and more compact, which has allowed us to give the Tiger a much tighter overall package, transforming the riding dynamics.
All right, let's get back to Steve now to get the facts on the chassis. I guess, Steve, the weight is going to make a big difference.
Yes, Matt, but weight is only really part of the equation. The chassis and where the weight sits is absolutely fundamental. With the new generation, we've got an all-new lightweight frame, which for the first time comes with bolt-on aluminium rear subframe and pillion footrest hangers, and we've got an all-new aluminium fuel tank. Now, we've also got a new swing arm. This has got a unique tri-link design, which is much lighter than a single-sided swing arm setup. We have on each family dedicated new wheel sizes and Metzler tyres, where both families have been set up for great dynamic road riding. And with the Rally Pro and the Rally Explorer, that 21-inch front wheel really makes a difference in the off-road capability and takes it to a whole new level. And combined with the significantly enhanced ergonomics, the major weight saving, and the optimised centre of gravity, this gives you a Tiger 1200 that feels so much lighter and more manoeuvrable.
OK, so tell us about the equipment spec.
So the new Showa suspension fitted to every Tiger model. Now that automatically adjusts the preload to suit the weight that you're carrying. And the semi-active system continuously monitors and adapts the damping as you ride the bike.
So all this sounds really familiar, right? After looking at the Harley and listening to that, it's clearly probably the same system, probably tuned a little bit differently for this bike, but they're both leveraging that Showa semi-active suspension.
Now the rider is also able to set the bike up exactly the way they want it and how they want it to feel, using the simple instrument menu to adjust the settings. With the brakes, we've got Brembos front and back, and on the front we've got the category-leading Stylemma calipers, and finally we've got optimised cornering ABS and traction control, which guarantee that you've got the maximum control and get the best ride whatever the conditions.
Top spec kit, Steve. Thank you. All right, let's welcome Stuart back now to tell us about the technology. Stu.
OK, well, Matt, we've got new technology on the GT Explorer and Rally Explorer with our all-new blind spot radar system, which we developed in partnership with Continental. Now, this rear-facing radar lets the rider know when another vehicle is in their blind spot and also gives a more prominent warning if the rider indicates to change lane and there's a vehicle approaching. We also have all-new 7-inch TFT instruments and the My Triumph connectivity system already installed. The new Tigers have keyless ignition, steering lock and fuel filler cap, plus Triumph Shift Assist, which gives you clutchless up and down gear shifts. We have full LED lighting with the new high-intensity daytime running light, plus integrated cornering lights. The new Tigers have up to 6 riding modes, which adjust the throttle response, ABS, traction control and suspension settings, all of which you can further personalise in the rider mode. For those who take their Tigers further off-road, we have the advanced Off-Road Pro mode on the Rally Pro and Rally Explorer. Finally, we also have cruise control, hill hold and heated grips, and on the Explorers, heated rider and pillion seats with independent temperature control and a tyre pressure monitoring system, both of which can be fitted on the other models as an accessory.
Thanks a lot, Stu. Now, let's meet someone who really knows what it takes to travel the world on a motorcycle and who's already had the chance to ride this new generation Tiger. Please welcome Billy Ward, better known as Billy Bike Truck, who's led multiple motorcycle adventure tours across the world. Billy, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here, Matt.
From following you for quite a few years now, actually, I'd say you've probably got a unique perspective on the new Tiger because I know you've done lots of tours on its closest shaft drive competition, but also on the previous generation too. How do you think it compares?
It feels radically different. The first thing that hits you is the agility. Biggest problem with big adventure bikes is that they're big. Yeah, that's the compromise that people have to make to tour the world. Yeah. But actually, you get off this bike and you really feel that it's lost weight.
What about the 30-litre tank? What kind of a practical difference would that make to your day-to-day life on the road out there?
When you're riding in Africa, it's like you fill up at every fuel station because the next one might not have any fuel. The 30-litre tank just cures a fair bit of that. I mean, that's a big tank. And yet you still have this kind of feeling of agility with the bike. I will tell you what, the shaft drive is the real bonus. You know, one of the things with the chain is that they wear out. The shaft drive takes that away completely. It's one of them things on your list that you don't have to worry about.
Thanks, Billy. OK, let's hear more now about the look and the rider ergonomics with Miles.
So, the brief for the design was just as ambitious as the performance updates. The new improved package and functionality has brought a more upright, commanding stance and presence. With the ergonomics, we knew it was essential to build on the previous generation's comfortable and stable ride. And this includes maintaining the Tiger's adjustable seat height, which you can lower by 20 mil further with the accessory low seat. Now, the new bike has a much slimmer waist and a more compact design, which not only makes it easier to get your feet on the floor, but also makes it easier to move around on while riding. As you'd expect from a Triumph, the quality of fit and finish is impeccable. We've repackaged the front end with a new twin radiator design, which has been carefully optimized to direct warm air away from the rider for a more comfortable ride. We also have a visually lighter rear end and that really minimal new silencer. Finally, as we know people absolutely want to tailor their bike to suit their adventure and really value the accessories that make their ride better, we have over 50 on offer, which include 2 full luggage systems, with these new Trekker molded panniers and 52-litre twin helmet top box with passenger backrest, as well as these new aluminium top opening expedition panniers with matching 42-litre top box and backrest, all developed by Triumph in partnership with Jivi. We also have a comprehensive protection range with precision engineered engine bars, which come as standard on the Rally Pro and the 2 Explorers, and also the tank protection bars, which are standard fit on the Rally Explorer. And finally, for extra comfort, we have a range of heated seating options, including rider, pillion, standard height, and low seat height choices.
Now let's get 2 more adventurers out who've had the chance to ride this new generation. Introducing Sandra and Fiona, ADV Travel Bug, international adventure vloggers who've spent the last 2.5 years travelling the world on a motorcycle. Ladies, great to meet you both. Thank you very much for joining us. First of all, Sandra, this is the first chance you've had to ride the new 1200 after spending, what, the last 2 years on the 900. How does the prototype 1200 feel?
And today is the first time I've ridden it, and I'm really, really blown away how easy it was to handle the bike. And you've got a lot more power, but there's a lot of features that I already loved about the Tiger 900, which the 1200 has. So we've got the same T-plane engine, feels like a twin off-road, but it gives you all the power when you're riding on the road. We've got the heated seats, which we really love. I love how everything is adjustable.
The last couple of years, you've been riding Pillion Fiona on the 900. What's the position like in comparison on the 1200?
It's higher on the 1200, and it's incredibly comfortable.
Have a great trip to Morocco, guys, and lovely to meet you today.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Cheers, pleasure. OK, now on the all-important news on price. This new Tiger lineup starts at £14,600 in the UK, and depending on where you are in the world, we'll be coming into Triumph dealers from spring. These will all come with Triumph's high 10,000 miles or 16,000 kilometre service intervals, and for the first time, a 3-year unlimited mileage warranty for great.
That seems awesome. The 10,000 mile service intervals and an unlimited mile warranty. Seems like it would be a big boost if you're getting this as a new bike and you want to make sure you have trouble-free adventures. You're going to go a long way. You don't have to worry about mileage, and you don't have to stop for service all the time. Seems like some good features.
Great peace of mind. So that's it for the launch of this new generation of Triumph's flagship adventure motorcycle. Designed to be the most agile and manoeuvrable large-capacity adventure bike you can buy, significantly lighter, with class-leading handling and specification. An all-new T-plane triple engine, more powerful, setting the new benchmark for character. A state-of-the-art technology package, including blind spot radar, and of course, all of the Tiger's comfort and touring capability. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let's finish now by seeing these new Tigers doing just what they do best.
Man, there were some beautiful shots there. So let's go on the Triumph site now, and let's go on the Harley Davidson site, and let's do a little feature comparison and see how the two stack up. Fine, I will let you send me cookies. Adventure, here we go. So we're looking at the Tiger 1200 range. And we'll go over here. And let's find Pan America. Okay, Adventure Touring and Model. Okay, there we go. Pulling up the Harley now. Excellent, okay. So let's see. So these range from 19,000 up to 24,200, and the Harley is 17,000 to 20,000. So that implies the Harley is potentially a really good deal here, right? Like, you can only get this for cheaper than the special, but it's still more than the standard Pan America. So let's look. I think more importantly, let's try and compare the Pan America versus something with its price range. So this has cast wheels. I don't think it has. Oh no, it does have the option of lace wheels. That adds $1,200. So we're looking at about $21,000. So what have we got in that price range? So the Rally Pro is close. I would say that's a close match, right? Now let's look at the specs. Engine and transmission. 147 horsepower at 9,000 RPM, 95 foot-pounds of torque. And let me just double check. Yeah, so it is a chain drive on the Harley, which I'm sure some people would, that's better than a belt, but some people are going to say the shaft drive is superior. So let's check on the specs now. So 94 foot-pounds of torque versus 95, I would say that's pretty much a wash. And 150 horsepower at 9,000 RPM, 147 horsepower at 9,000 RPM. So we're really splitting hairs here, right? Let's check the weight. Wet weight 548.9 pounds. And no. Let's check the weight, dimensions probably. Weight in running order 569 pounds. So the Harley is heavier. The Harley is about 20 pounds heavier, which could be significant, right? That's about 10 kilograms. So I mean, basically Triumph, with what the weight they removed, they're saying they basically took the bike from being slightly heavier than a Pan America Special to slightly lighter, which, that's interesting. Fuel capacity 5.28 US gallons, and the Harley has fuel capacity 5.6. So pretty close, tiny bit more on the Harley side. They're claiming miles per gallon 46. Triumph, let's see if they have a claimed fuel mileage. Does not look like it, so at least it's not spec'd out here. So, it could be hard to compare those apples to apples. Let's look and see if they have anything about that T-plane crank, because that sounds interesting to me. On one hand, that just sounds like the flat plane crank, which was the old Japanese way of doing the triples. All three journals are in one plane, and then like the Trident, the Triumph Trident back in the day, the old one, air-cooled from the 60s and 70s, it actually had them each rotated 120 degrees. So you'd get an even firing order. So let's see what they say about the T-plane crank here. With the launch of the award-winning Tiger 900 in 2019, Triumph redefined what great looks like and rides like with the innovative new T-plane triple engine and revolution in handling. Okay. Discover more about the engine. Show us the crank. So they've got the same graphic here that shows those two presumably torque or power curves, and then a bigger gap, and then another one, and then it looks like another big gap, which is interesting. Ah, here we've got an animation. Is this going to tell us more? Doesn't quite show us, does it? Nope. No. That's all they've got, as far as I can tell. Let's do a little Googling. Here we go. Triumph's new T-plane firing order explained. 180 plus 270 and 270 add up to 720. Okay. This Tiger 900's T-plane crankshaft places crank pins 1 and 3 180 degrees apart, with the number 2 crank pin 90 degrees from the other, defining a T. That is very weird. What does this mean? Traditional inline triples have crank pins set at equal 120 degree spacing, giving a firing interval of 240 degrees. The 4-stroke cycle requires 2 revolutions of the crank, or 720 degrees. This Tiger 900's T-plane crankshaft places crank pins 1 and 3 180 degrees apart. Crank number 2 is 90 degrees from the other, so the firing intervals are 180, 270, and 270, adding up to 720. What is the purpose of this change? I suspect it was done mainly to make this engine's exhaust sound stand out. In a word, character. It has certainly worked for Yamaha's long-running YZF R1 sport bike. This is a very weird thing. It says it has improved character and tractability at low RPM, improved off-road feel, enhanced rider connection to the rear wheel, refined on-road performance. I don't know how that works. I can see some arguments for the others, but refined on-road performance. Maybe they're saying because it's a triple. Distinctive T-plane triple soundtrack. So we're trying to Triumph's trying to have their own Harley sound, I guess, or something similar. Closer association to the throttle character, sound, and feel of a twin lower down, whilst maintaining all the torque, feel, and delivery in the mid-range and top end of a triple. That's a lot of marketing words. Now we're going to go back to the Big Bang effect engines, that in 1992 Honda found that by narrowing the fire angle of its 2-stroke V4, that having the pairs of cylinders 180 degrees apart, 68 degrees apart instead of 180 degrees apart, riders were able to begin throttling up earlier in the corners and then accelerate harder. Why? The long quiet interval between big bangs allowed the rear tire to roll forward a full footprint in lower gears, getting a fresh, unstressed grip on the pavement. Soon every bike in the class was making the same deep 500cc motocross sound. It worked. But in the case of this Triumph, engineers increased the firing interval on 2 cylinders to 270 degrees by closing up the third to 180. Not a big change, 12.5%, yet without testing the result ourselves, who can say how much this change improves feel? But doesn't such a change require a balanced shaft? Even firing inline triples already need a balanced shaft to cancel what would otherwise be a substantial side-to-side rocking motion. So the only change needed is to re-angle the eccentric weights on the already existing shaft. So, relatively minor change, but okay, so that's what the T-plane crank looks like. Interesting. They're probably, they probably just want more character on the engine, a little bit more feel, so that people don't say it's like a sewing machine or too smooth, which is interesting. Maybe it has some applications. But interesting. Okay, well, it looks like they're very closely matched. I'll be interested to see a comparison with this and the Harley, and hopefully they can throw the Buell in there as well. That would be cool too, to see how this stacks up, right? This should have hopefully a lot of the Buell Ulysses DNA in it, and we'll see it brought up to the modern era. So, with that said, I think we'll keep it short today, guys. But thank you for joining us on Late Night Moto. If you think we earned your subscription, please subscribe to the channel. And if you like the video, please give us a like. We'll be back next Sunday at 9 p.m. Pacific Time for episode 3 of Late Night